Hey y'all, it's Gypsy. Well, I finally finished my weekly deck challenge, which actually took me more like 2 weeks to do because I didn't really calculate the fact that I was going to be doing it right in the middle of the holidays, which is not really a good time to find clear, empty, to myself quiet time. So it took a little longer because there was a lot of family togetherness and consequently not a lot of time to do tarot cards. So I finally things are evening back out again. So I finished and I wanted to kind of just give a little share as to how it went. I did end up picking the Bonefire Tarot, and the reason I did that is because when I went back and looked in my tarot journal, I realized I'd already done a weekly deck challenge with the Prism Tarot and Prism Visions, excuse me, and I've actually used that one quite a bit. So I saw this as a kind of an excuse to use my Bonefire more, and now that I've done it, I'm really glad I did. So thanks to all of you, which really, if I'd have just gone off a vote, you guys would have picked Bonefire anyway, because I had tons of Bonefire and just a few Prism Visions. I don't know that I did a video on the weekly deck challenge, but I did do it like on my own. I love that deck. So if you're curious as to my feelings about it, I absolutely love it. And if I think about it, I will try very hard to remember to make a video. Probably should start a list, because I kind of want to start doing this again. But anyway, this is the Bonefire Tarot. So if you've never seen it before, this is what it came. I don't know about now. Like, I don't know what the scoop is on Bonefire now. I think it's getting harder to get a hold of. But I bought this back in the day whenever Gabby Angus West was selling it through her website. It comes in this nifty little felt bag, and it has a little tie that's all sewn on so that it's always rather. It's got her card in it, so there's that little card that's in there giving her info. And then inside is your deck. Now these cards are kind of an odd size. They're not normal like tarot deck card sizes. And you know, it's funny. It's like it was meant to be that I ended up working with this deck when I did, because in the past when I've tried to like shuffle it and handle it, it's been real awkward, and like the material that they're made out of, this paper or cardstock rather, it's kind of got like a weird cover up finish on it, and it was like I couldn't seem to get the things to shuffle right. But for whatever reason, when I did it this time, it was like I'm not going to put my camera down because I'm wearing my nightie, frankly, and anyway, but yeah, it totally shuffles. Boom. All right, so I am able to shuffle. My technique is to shuffle and then kind of do this kind of thing, and then I shuffle the cards again, and I do that in 3 times. I'll set those aside. I don't know what just happened. These fell out. I'll make sense of this later. Oh, that's interesting. But if you've never seen the deck, here's a couple of images from it. The Tower. There's the O. What? What? Don't fall out while I'm shuffling. Tower. No, I'm not in the mood. Page of Swords. There's another one. Totally showing y'all the cards I just shuffled out of my deck. Some of y'all are, I always look at them, whether or not I freak out about them, I don't know. That Tower's telling me that I'm like, I may just let this go. I don't want to know. Queen of Wands. Oh, that's one of my all-time favorite cards of any, like, card of any deck. I really like this Queen of Wands. She looks like a badass. Love on the hat, sister. King of Wands. So that's kind of interesting. I think I know what that is. And 6 of Wands. Lots of wands. Very fiery deck. I mean, very fiery cards that fell out there with my Tower. That should be interesting. I'll have to journal that later. So, anyway, it's the kind of artwork. Excuse me, I have been dealing with a cough that will not go away. So if I hack and cough while I'm talking, just ignore it, because I'm not editing anything. So anyway, this is kind of what the deck looks like. Really cool artwork, kind of like tattoo artwork. It reminds me kind of like, if Ed Hardy made a deck, it would look like the Bonefire Tarot. So anyway, that's what it looks like. As far as how it read, I had a really cool experience with the readings. It's interesting because, some decks are real straightforward and give it to you like, psh, it's kind of Pamela Coleman Smith, the traditional Rider-Waite decks, in my experience, are kind of like that, This one is a little bit more like reading poetry. in my opinion, at least the way that it's kind of dealing with me. Obviously, with tarot, it's all about symbolism, so one could argue that, well, it's always like that because you're always trying to decipher symbols, and that's like poetry. But it's different than that. It's not the same kind of thing. It's kind of like, with this one, I'm finding that I want to say, it's like you can't just rely on the typical meanings that you know about the cards if you're someone that, is kind of experienced. And by the way, I would not recommend this to like a noob when it comes to tarot. It's kind of like the whole Paulina Cassidy thing. It's like, there's a lot going on in these images, okay? However, if you are, kind of familiar with the tarot and you're familiar with card meanings and their, the original intentions behind those cards, that is helpful. But I will tell you that you get a lot more out of just looking at the cards and looking at those images and kind of taking what you know about tarot and allowing yourself to kind of, it encourages you to kind of go on your own a little bit and kind of do your own thing with it. And I don't, I'm usually kind of a structure person, but this deck, there's just something about it that makes me feel comfortable coloring outside of the lines, if you catch what I'm trying to say. I don't know how else to say it. I'm having to speak figuratively because that's what the deck makes me do. It makes me think figuratively. So if that makes any sense at all, let me know. If you have the Bonefire, if you have experience with this deck, let me know what you think. Maybe if there's some comments about the deck from other people's perspectives, it'll make more sense to someone that's not like, that's watching this video going, so I'm sorry to be cryptic, but it is, it does encourage you to kind of use your creative side of your brain a little bit more than, a lot of the tarot decks that I've worked with in the past. I like it a lot. Like I said, my biggest hang up about it was the fact that when I first got it, I just could not shuffle the damn thing. I just struggled. Like, I could not get these cards to work right. And I'm guessing it's because it was like, not your time, not your moment. And now, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, it's my moment. Because when I took them out of the box, and I mean, it's not like I've been forcing myself to shuffle them and wear them down or anything. They've been literally sitting in the box almost since I got them. Like, I have done nothing with these cards. Because I found that I just really had a hard time shuffling them. Then all of a sudden, 2 weeks ago, when I pull them out of the box, shuffle. It was meant to be. It was this time. This is when I was supposed to get back into, looking at this deck and understanding it. Now, I will say one little criticism on this deck. To put it bluntly and without any regard for anyone's feelings, the guidebook is kind of crap. It's not that the information inside of it is crap. I am an aesthetic visual person, and this looks like it was photocopied and put together in a rush or by a child. I don't know. The handwriting is scratchy and scribbly, so that's, like, this makes me crazy, okay? And it's not, like, can you see, I don't know if you can tell, but it's like, it's all choppy and it's, well, it is hand done here, it looks like, it's sewn, so I do admire that. This could be better, in my opinion. I feel like you can still see, the pencil behind it. It's smudgy. It's not, I don't really care for that. So I don't use this, like, if I have a card and I'm kind of like looking at it, I kind of know what it means. I always like to get the artist's, kind of take on it. So I do appreciate it for that, because she does give you kind of how she sees that card. But I also use this quite a bit, and I actually used this because I needed a spread to use for the day where you use a structured spread from the guidebook, because there are no spreads in this little guidebook, and so I had to go outside the box. So I decided to do this one because in this book, if you're not familiar with the New Tarot Handbook by Rachel Pollack, it has spreads for each card. So you can do a reading for the suit of, well, not each card, I'm sorry, each major arcana and each suit. So like reading for the suit of wands, it's got a little spot here where it shows you the layout, and then it shows you what the different, questions are. I don't know if that's backwards for you. It looks backwards to me, but maybe it'll come out the correct way. But anyway, that's what I used. I believe I used either the Fool or the Magician. I think it was the Magician. I don't have the reading stuff in front of me because I'm not sharing with you my actual, like, what I wrote down. But I believe it was the Magician. I did the Fool already with another deck earlier. So the readings were good. I would say they were accurate. At times they were a little cryptic, but like I said, you know, this is the kind of deck where you journal and you write stuff down and you kind of go with your gut, and then you might not get it all immediately, and you go back to it later, and then you're like, then you kind of connect the dots to kind of get used to how this deck communicates. That's kind of helpful, because it's not just like cut and dry, straightforward like some decks. It kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It hints at things, and it gives you certain feelings about things, but it doesn't like to commit, I guess I could say. Anyway, so, but like I said, I do like this deck. If you've been fortunate enough to get your hands on it, you haven't used it much, give it another shot, give it another try. As far as the shuffling, I don't know what to tell you. There's no particular technique. It just didn't work for me before, and now it does. Can't tell you what that's about. I don't know if I got better at shuffling or if it's some cosmic thing where the cards are like, okay, now you can touch me. I don't know. Anyway, that was my experience with the weekly deck challenge with the Bonefire Tarot. I appreciate all of y'all's input. Please feel free to comment below and let me know what your experiences are or what your thoughts are about it. If you want to take a crack at those cards that flew out while I was shuffling, knock yourself out. That's cool with me. I always love feedback from you guys. I know I don't reply to everybody, but I really do read them all, and I love hearing from people, especially when it comes to your tarot-y thoughts. So anyway, you guys have a great day or night or whatever you're having right now, and I will catch you later. Hasta la vista.